and see you there, Internet. Welcome to Updated Autopsy Report, a podcast from Yotsuben and Friends where we replay the entire Ace Attorney series with longtime fans and newcomers. I'm your host, Ben, and with me today is Dessy.
Hello.
And two good friends of ours, Tiago.
Yeah.
And Rose.
Hi.
Dessy and I are the longtime fans, and Rose and Tiago are the newcomers. We hope that through both of our perspectives as we play through the series, it'll reveal new details and provide interesting commentary for a series that's near and dear to us. Today, we have all played the first two prologues of Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney, the crossover game between the two titular mystery solvers. For the summary today, this game opens with an anime cutscene in which a man and a young woman are racing across the countryside in a tiny motor car pursued by magical beings that appear to be witches. Statues come alive and crash the car, injuring the man and tossing the woman to the side. And he insists that she must take the book and go in order to escape the witches, and we fade to black as she runs into the night. In London, Professor of Archaeology, Dr. Herschel Layton, and his young assistant, Luke Triton, are having tea on this spooky night when the young woman from the car crash, Espella Cantabella, walks in their door with the book Historia Labyrinthia. She tells them the man with her was Carmine Accidenti, an old friend of Layton's who was helping her escape a town known as Labyrinthia. Espella seems to not know what London is and is only aware of Labyrinthia. Upon hearing her tale, Luke and Layton agree to help her out, but are attacked by witches soon after, who spirit Espella away. Layton and Luke pursue, finding Espella behind a secret door on Tower Bridge, and pull off a plot in which they delay the witches while Espella escapes on a boat passing underneath it. It works, but Layton and Luke see the Historia Labyrinthia fall at their feet, and upon looking inside, get sucked into the book. Elsewhere, Phoenix Wright and Maya Fey are on a plane to London for the Legal League of Attorneys exchange program, and upon arriving are immediately thrust into a case where they have no knowledge of the incident, as per usual. Phoenix is defending a possibly hypnotized Espella from an assault and theft charge in which she is accused of bonking Olivia Al Dente on the head and stealing a PC Badger toy. Of course, she did no such thing, and in a surprise turn of events, simply disproving that Espella is cleared of any wrongdoing is enough to end the trial, and we don't need to find the mysterious third man in this case.
Wow.
As Espella is shuffled away by her mysterious schoolteacher, her book Historia Labyrinthia is left behind, and as you might guess, Maya and Phoenix pick it up and get sucked into the book as well. To be continued.
So after that whole intro, I have to make an announcement towards Des and Rose. And I think Ben to owe down, because I started...
It's time to pull back the curtain and reveal your dark secret, to reveal what you've done this to you. Yeah. Go ahead, please. Take the floor.
So, I told Ben about it, and when I last told Ben about it, I told him that I was giving up on it, but, I did give up on it at the time. I said to myself, what if I played every Professor Layton game up to this point? So, starting in January of this year...
That's a lot. Holy shit.
I did do it. I played
oh my God.
the original trilogy on the DS. I played the first half of the prequel trilogy earlier this month. I did this all for a bit in which that I would become the Layton expert of this game, of this podcast now, and I have done so. I am now the puzzle man himself.
That's why you offered to help me with the puzzle when I got mad and fucked up.
It is also, why, when you guys are like, hey, I'm hanging out, I was like, no, I'm gonna go chill by myself today, and that's just...
I was wondering why you were busy all week. I was like,
Tiago doesn't like us anymore. Aww.
I've been deep in the puzzle mines, and I have some shit to say about 3D Layton.
Okay. Well, we've got a lot of stuff here, so we might as well start with the 3D models thing, if you want to get into that right away. So we can talk about 3D Layton and we can talk about 3D Phoenix.
Yeah.
And all that good stuff. So go ahead.
The original Professor Layton games were drawn in 2D. The original trilogy being Curious Village. I don't give a fuck about the second one. I forget the name of it. It's coming to me. It's actually, not that bad, but also, I can't think of anything. Oh, Diabolical Box. There it is. And third game. Here's my official rating. Unwound Future for Layton fucking rocks. The entire original trilogy was worth it for the third game. Anyway, These characters, Professor Layton and Phoenix Wright, is a weird style to mash up because Layton is like this weird Ghibli-esque cartoon character. Everyone's essentially a Muppet, and like Phoenix Wright's an anime man. Like he's not like, you know, super anime, but like he's not a Muppet. Like that's just a fact. He's a human man.
Yeah.
So I always thought that this like art style mashup was gonna be weird, and it was.
Yeah, I'm gonna post a comparison, and if you're listening, you can just Google it. There's plenty of comparison images out there, but I'm gonna post them in the Discord here.
Was jarring.
So this is the difference between Layton in his regular games and Layton in the Versus game.
Oh,
it is strange. It is not good, IMHO.
If you open the window and you flick your arrow keys back and forth, it looks like a really funny animation.
Oh, it really does.
For all of you listening at home.
Yeah, for
this audio medium.
Looks like he's gonna fucking bust a beat.
So like they have to like make him human-like to make sense in the world of Phoenix, right? And like I don't think that Professor Layton translates into a 3D medium well at all. Like, because there are instances in like the 3DS game, the Miracle Mask, in which that like they have 2D cutscenes, and I'm like, oh, these look banger. And then we go to the 3D model, and they have fucking mocap for these 3DS models, and it's so bizarre. Now, I wanted to segue into this being into Phoenix Wright's 3D transition, in which that I think that it's pretty good, actually. I think that he does pretty well. I don't know, there's something really funny about seeing these Capcom characters move in 3D, and they actually know how to use the camera in the courtroom.
There's like one pose he does where like it's like his confident pose, but they kind of make it look like he's, instead of like the putting his hands on his hips, it looks like he's sort of like clasping his hands under the table, like making a little woo face at me, and I'm not sure how I feel. Like that was the one that was jarring to me, but like actually the thing that was most jarring to me, voice acting.
Yeah, voice acting.
No, thank you.
Voice acting.
The voice actor. I'm sorry, voice actors. You're wonderful. You're amazing. You're talented. The world is a better place with your efforts. I read faster than you talk, and that's that on that. Like, I'm sorry.
You're ready to get through it. Yeah, you're mashing. Yeah. No, I fully understand. I mean, even I skipped around a little bit when we were playing through a bit. Talking
about voice acting, I just want to go back to the Layton side real quick, because I actually have some opinions about this. Luke Triton's voice acting. I did not know this.
Professor!
Here's the thing. There's a separate UK dub and a US dub. All the games I have played have been through the US dub. This Luke Triton is from the UK dub. I don't know this child. I don't know him. He is not my son. This is not my son. The other Luke Triton has like a bit of a deeper voice about it, and he like sounds like a person. And I'm like, oh, that's
not. This one sounds like a British child.
Character.
Like a literal child.
If you look up,
I know he's a literal child, but he sounds like a literal child.
No, but like in the US stuff, he goes like, "Oh, Mr. Professor," and it's like, okay, maybe this is like not bad. Like, it's actually I actually think his US voice acting is actually pretty fucking dope, and it is strange to see them to have a UK versus US dub, especially when Layton is the same throughout both. They only changed Luke Triton, this child. If you look up a YouTube video, you can find the Luke Triton voice changes and yada yada. Anyway, yeah, I guess we just started off going straight into art, voice acting, and 3D modeling about this game, because it is new, right? Like we're all in the 3D world.
I mean, that's the biggest change in a lot of ways. And this was something actually about this game. Like, it was started by I believe was Level 5 was the one who kind of wanted to push for it.
Yeah,
they were the ones who was like, hey, let's do a crossover game. And so the higher ups at Capcom were like, yeah, let's do it. And they started doing pre-production work on this game without Shu Takumi. However, the creator of Layton, Akihiro Hino, who is also the CEO of Level 5, like he founded Level 5 and is kind of like one of the shepherds of Professor Layton. He was involved, my understanding is, pretty early on as well, because obviously he was the one who was running Level 5 and was one of the people who was like, let's do a crossover game. So Shu Takumi, though, was involved. It was just he came in after they had done a lot of pre-production work. He's not the only writer on this game as well.
Mhm.
So it's him, Akihiro, and then 4 other people who do all the writing. So it's a total of 6 writers on this game. So it's a mix. But they talk a lot about this whole thing with the 3D models, with finding this right balance for the art style between the two worlds, and then also for how to make them look good in 3D. It was one of those things where they were kind of like, this is a special thing, right? This crossover game is special. It's a unique thing. So we feel okay with doing things like voice acting and 3D. Because even Takumi was like, I actually prefer 2D. He's like, I do prefer 2D over
based
3D models. And but he's like, but since this was like a special event game in a way, he's like, I was okay with this. But the thing is that they do put it to good use. The devs also say, in the end, we kind of end up leaning more towards the Ace Attorney style.
Mhm.
And like a lot of the NPCs, like Espella is very much an Ace Attorney NPC.
Yeah, that's
right?
an Ace Attorney girl, for sure.
Yeah, and you may notice all the NPCs have Ace Attorney bloops.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Professor Layton and Luke, when they have bloops, they are Layton bloops.
Yep.
So there's that aspect. It does seem to lean a little more Ace Attorney, but there are some NPCs that are also very Layton-esque with their little dot eyes or really, really goofy like caricatures of their beard and like that kind of stuff. But for the most part, it leans Ace Attorney wise. But I think the one thing, that they were happy with the most is that the 3D camera allows them to do some new and interesting stuff, especially in the courtroom.
Yes.
So I had forgotten some of this stuff that happened in this courtroom. The extra camera angles that they do, the whole bit with Maya with the pipe is literally the funniest fucking
I thought she was gonna kill me. I was like,
it's
girl.
so fucking good.
Maya with the
She's like, hold on, I
steel
gotta wipe
pipe.
your memory.
I mean, do it, but like, Jesus.
So that was really good. I really, really did like that. So yeah, that I don't know. Did anybody else have any 3D versus 2D or art style thoughts for this this portion?
I mean, it's not bothering me other than Phoenix's like weird little like woo face that I think I'm just gonna have to deal with as a person.
I think it's interesting that all the Phoenix Wright characters translate well to 3D except for Phoenix Wright himself.
Like, yeah, Maya looks great. Maya's awesome.
Great. The British judge, I mean, he's not my granddad, but I like recognize his cool.
We all said that.
Yeah, he's all right. I'll take it.
That's not Rose's dad.
It's not Rose's dad.
I think Flinch, the prosecutor, was great in 3D. It's interesting, right? Because like you have all these characters who are clearly Ace Attorney designed, and then we have like Muppets over there in the corner, and these are puzzle-solving Muppets that you show to children.
Yeah.
As someone who played like
Muppets.
I played 50 hours of Layton games over the past like 4 months or so. So like I've really been churning through the Layton series, so I'm like, I have some opinions about these characters. The characters are being translated well. I mean, the thing about it though is that Layton doesn't have much of a he doesn't have an arc in which that like
right.
He's just a guy who solves puzzles. It's not like Dora the Explorer has a deep character arc, and that's what fucking Professor Layton is. Like, he's just a guy who solves puzzles.
Yes, Professor Layton is to Dora the Explorer. Yeah.
Like Luke Schreiton has more character growth than Professor Layton, because Professor Layton is like 36. He went through this arc already.
Are you hyped now for the new Professor Layton?
Dude,
game?
When that Nintendo Direct was happening, I had to try so hard not to pop off. Because I was...
You're allowed to pop off for it anyway.
No, but I have to keep the Layton thing a secret. I had to like sit here and be like seething.
I've only played the first 3. I played the original trilogy of Layton games.
Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, I haven't played the prequels or the Lady Layton games. I forget what they're called now.
There's a lady.
There's Catriel's Mystery Journey, which is Layton's daughter.
Yeah.
Oh, he's married.
Well, play
he's
the game.
not married.
Isn't it more of like a
child out
Phoenix
of
Wright situation,
wedlock?
right?
He's got no ring on that finger, is what I'll say.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, Professor.
So, like, the thing about Professor Layton is that he's a professor of archaeology. He gets invited to solve these mysteries through letters of his old friends. Luke Triton is his assistant. You get to hear one of his backstories in one of the prequel trilogies. In which, also, here's something that, like, fucks me up totality. In totality. Layton is objectively a series in which that magic does not exist. Every time there's an instance of magic about to occur, it is straight up gets disproven by Layton. He like goes to a village and the village is like, we're being attacked by a magical specter, and Layton's like, that's not a specter, that's a robot hiding in the fog. And it's like, okay, so magic doesn't exist in Layton, but Maya fucking Faye is over here summoning ghosts
magic exists
and shit.
See, I watched this intro sequence and I went, oh man, I guess Professor Layton is a game where magic's a lot more like obvious and explicit than it is in Ace Attorney. Damn, this is crazy.
No, what it is that like magic is always shown to be a lot more explicit, but then he goes like, well, you see, that person wasn't really floating. They were standing on top of a wire. He always Scooby-Doos it.
Well,
they
weren't flying, they were just a cape that got caught on a bust that was being pulled up through a window.
Exactly.
Right, but always to the nth degree.
Yes.
Right? It is always the most elaborate thing ever, like how they make this happen. Like, I'm trying to remember, but like it's to the point where like, oh, like if you had like a bunch of people like, oh, they got transported to the future, and there was I was around all these aliens, right? And the aliens took care of me, and we've got to solve all these mysteries with these aliens. Like Layton's solution would be all the aliens are people in costumes. They've built an elaborate like moon base set that you are trapped in, and they just knocked you out and brought you here.
Are you telling me
Layton?
Are you telling me Layton found out that they faked the moon landing?
Layton would find out that they faked. But here's also the fucked up part, right? Is that like Layton is definitely sci-fi. Like there's technology. It's like old steampunky London, but like the technology. It is for whatever purpose they need it for the game. That is the level of technology that they have. And it goes to like, oh, the ancient civilization built a super in-depth tunnel that if you activate all their traps, it will glow blue and a secret city will appear underneath. Also, the Loch Ness Monster is real.
That's good, though. That makes sense, right? Because he's an archaeologist, so like, in order to make a stupid bullshit detective puzzle game with an archaeologist solving mysteries and crimes, you know, you gotta have like some suspect
shit.
Ancient technology.
The thing about like Layton is that like the archaeology straight up does not come through until like the second game. Like the first game,
does he put anything in a museum?
Does he put anything in a museum? He objectively never takes the riches for himself.
Well, that's very unlike a British archaeologist, so I guess he'll get a pass.
His friend,
damn, Rose is right.
His friend objectively was like, "We should take this gold," and he goes, "No, I don't want it." And he goes, "Oh, okay, never mind, my bad." So like Professor Layton, objectively a no magic series. It's some sci-fi, and now we have Phoenix fucking Wright over here fighting ghosts with his Magatama, like a Shin Megami Tensei lawyer, and it's strange. It's strange to have this mashup to me because now I'm wondering as
we
Layton
haven't even had it yet. That's the thing, is the prologue ends, neither team has found each other. Are they gonna fight? It's like versus, right? So like,
yeah, you're right.
Is Maya gonna like kill little Timothy with like a steel chair or something?
It's Luke.
I don't know.
Little Timothy.
Little Luke.
His name is Luke. All right, also,
like the cat. Okay.
I want to.
I'll start calling him Timothy for your sake, though, Rose.
I do want to bring up something here that I think. Oh well, you know what? I'll let you guys find out about it on your own. I wonder if they're going to introduce Luke's special ability.
Luke's special
Does
ability,
he have special eyes?
Yeah, no, he does not have special eyes.
Damn. Apollo only ability. Special eyes.
Maybe we should actually like talk about the game now that we've preambled about.
Oh yeah, except for Rose's gameplay corner where I got stuck on the first Professor Layton puzzle and had to restart.
So we had to set up the Layton stuff at least. So for folks who haven't played any Layton games, they kind of get the vibe of it. So it's useful to have that established. But yeah, let's go in a little bit into the gameplay a bit here. So the way they split up this game roughly is that, and this is kind of both the prologues, and this will carry forward in the rest of the game, is that the Layton segments, the investigation segments, are Layton style gameplay. Walking around world, looking at maps, solving puzzles. And then the Phoenix section of the games is courtroom stuff, right? So we are doing investigations Layton style, and then courtrooms Phoenix Wright style. So you have hint coins, which are a holdover from the Layton series, in which you tap on the environment and occasionally little coins will pop out of certain things. And you can then spend those hint coins to get hints during puzzles.
There's a coin in every lamppost in London. I'm giving you guys this tip
Just
now.
shaking them down.
I found Ben was like, you don't have to worry about getting every hint coin. And I was like, uh-oh.
No, I need them.
Now I have to.
It's nice because in the Layton segments, there's a little thing where it's like you have like 1 out of 3 hint coins in each area. You have found 0 out of 0 hidden puzzles. And I'm like, okay, cool. There's no hidden puzzles. I've got all the hint coins. I can move on.
Right.
You know?
Right.
As a pro tip, you don't need to do every fucking puzzle. As someone who played 50 hours, because now I have a pedigree, like a dog.
Well, it's kind of weird when you say it like that, but okay.
It's kind of weird.
It is a little.
All right, don't fucking roast me for this one too hard, okay? It's just my intrusive thought. Now listen. The thing about how I handled most of the Professor Layton games is that there are math puzzles, there are sliding puzzles, all sorts of puzzles, right? I kind of browbeat my way through most of them. I fucking if there's a math puzzle, I walk away. If there's a sliding puzzle, I clearly that shit in 2 seconds. I use hint coins pretty sparingly. I use hint coins pretty sparingly until the end game chapter, in which that I mash all the hint coins and then just get the solutions to all the really hard puzzles at the end. And so that's what I recommend for this game, is to save all the hint coins till the end and use them on the bosses.
You will also be able to spend those hint coins not just on puzzles, but also in the courtroom if you'd like.
I did not use any hint coins during the puzzle, but there was a point where Olivia Al Dente was killing me, and I needed to use a hint coin.
Yeah.
I feel like a shitty lawyer.
My first time playing through, I do remember playing a Layton game. I don't remember which one it was. It was a long time ago. And I was dead set on not using any of them at all for anything.
Bruh, use hint coins. They're in the game.
I got confused by the first puzzle, because I didn't understand the directions at all and was just sort of flailing randomly. And then I failed it a couple of times, and then I realized that the amount of money I was earning each time I failed went down. So I restarted the game.
That I should tell you right now that the picarots don't matter.
I shouldn't do it, but
the points are made up and they don't matter. Yeah.
Do they do anything?
Yes.
Whose game is it anyway? What series does this fucking game belong to?
When you complete a Professor Layton puzzle without getting the solution incorrect, you get the most amount of what is the in-game currency of, like, picarots. The picarots are used to unlock bonus content outside in the main menu. So they're used to unlock, like, extra puzzles, art, and stuff like that.
Okay, so
do not worry your head about it at all.
Alright, cool. Good to know, because I will care about that a lot less.
They are, like...
There will be no bonus content for Rose.
Because I was going through kind of haphazardly, I did not even, I did not open the bonus menu. I was like, this is not important to me. I will not do so. My only goal was to complete the story. So, like, if you're going for story completion, just fucking play the game.
I was worried that was, like, it didn't tell me what it was, so I was like, holy shit, this is an in-game currency. I'm gonna need this. I fucked up.
The real in-game currency that matters is the hint
The
point
opening
system.
cutscene, by the way, unskippable.
Unskippable.
Yeah.
Unskippable cutscenes. Welcome to England. We all said before this recording we can't go too hard on England, so I gotta back up a little bit. Even that I felt was too hard.
I said I'll go a reasonable amount of hard on England.
So like here's my ranking, right? I think Ace Attorney right now to me is an S to A tier franchise. A in its lower moments because, there's some things that are unforgivable. But S because I love it so much. Professor Layton is definitely an A to B tier franchise for me, where A, I had a lot of fun, and then there are moments where I'm like, this sucks actually, and I fucking hate you for this question. In particular, there's like one puzzle in one of the DS games. You've never used the microphone on the DS, and this one asks you to use the microphone, and I went, kill me for not. How the fuck was I supposed to know that? Anyway, so the Professor Layton segments, we got like a couple puzzles in the beginning. There's not much to say about them. We're not going to go over every single fucking puzzle because that's not interesting. We meet Chelmy, the inspector. Chelmy's like the he's a detective who recognizes Layton's brilliance, but also is like, Layton, you stay out of my court case. I don't know why I went Chicago with them.
Was that Chicago?
It was supposed to be.
That sounded more like JFK.
Yeah,
JFK.
Gamer JFK again.
Sorry, Gamer JFK is a character that needs to be locked back in the box with him. So like
in your mind box, your mind prison.
Inspector Chelmy and his sidekick Bartley. I'm really bad with names.
Yeah, no, you got it right.
They're just like two detectives who don't know how to solve mysteries, and Layton's like, Inspector Chelmy, I think you're jumping the gun there. Here's the answer. And then you do that. Like, there's not much to say about the character in Professor Layton. Like, I do think that Professor Layton has a wonderful character arc during the third game of the first trilogy. But other than that, he's just like a guy who solves puzzles. And he was always like, now, Luke, we have to be a gentleman. And Luke's like, gee, willikis, sure. So like, it's strange to me.
I mean, I will say that Layton does have a very dry sense of humor about him, in that he will react very plainly to things. And there's one or two bits in this prologue where he says something along the lines of, well, I think that, there's clearly something more mysterious going on here. And then Luke, and Espella will go, witches, there's magic going on. And Layton will just kind of go, ...
Yeah.
There's definitely something going on here, and he will never like give it. And it's kind of funny the way he just kind of lets everybody else fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
Right. For his, as he says, there's something going on here. Other people will then say what's going on or what they think's going on. And he kind of does this, is it really though? Like, I've got all the answers, but I'm just going to let you guys flounder for a little bit, which is it's kind of fun for a bit.
I just realized something. Layton is a straight man in the comedy group, and he is also the straightest character in this game right now.
He's literally a vertical plank.
He is the straight to Phoenix Wright gay, right? Like, he's the parallel.
Mm-hmm.
He's all puzzles.
Phoenix is bi though, for real.
Okay, yeah, you got me there, but like, that is also deep in the spectrum where Layton is not. Layton is objectively straight. Like, there's no way around it.
I mean, I guess he's had a child out of wedlock, so.
Hey, you could play that game to figure out whether or not he had a child out of wedlock. I don't know yet.
I don't know if I will.
So here's my thing.
Tiago's keeping it a secret.
So I only played games up to this release point, which means I've not played the two other Layton games, which are Azrain Legacy and Catriel's Mystery Journey. I also did not play the phone game only, in which that you play as Layton's son. He has a son too.
2 children?
Yeah,
Wait,
he has
and
2
it's not Luke?
And it's not Luke. Is just his sidekick.
Yeah, Luke isn't related to him.
I guess
So what?
gets
Luke
a sidekick.
Tritons is the friend, is the son of one of Layton's friends, and there's actually a prequel game in which how they meet, and Luke is like, I want to be like you, Professor. You're a gentleman who helps people by solving puzzles. I want to do that too. And then Layton's like, now, Luke, this is, are you sure you want to take on this adventure? And he goes, anything, Professor. And he goes, well, very well then, let's go. And that's what Layton sounds like in my mind.
How to become an apprentice.
So, like, yeah, like, there's, the thing about, like, for me in Layton games is that the plot is always just a vehicle to get more puzzles. So, like,
right.
There's only, like, I only cared about the plot in the fucking third Unwound Future, because Unwound Future fucking slaps. That's, like, the best, like, objectively the story is good in that game only. And then, like, the other two are just like, this is kind of insane, but it's just a plot for more puzzles. So So yeah, we help Espella escape the witches. I'm already like, these probably aren't witches. These are probably just hopped up British people.
I mean,
but-
it seemed it was all the kind of stuff where I was like, explaining how this isn't magic is going to be really rough for Phoenix and Professor Layton. And then I got fucking sucked into the Toontown book, and I was like, all right.
I already have, like,
whatever.
In my head, there's already, like, a Layton-esque explanation where it's like, oh, they opened up a book and there was a psychoactive drug that they both inhaled and they all got knocked out.
But,
and
like, again with some random, like, American Japanifornian lawyers.
Yeah, it's possible. It's like, the thing about Layton is that, like, he'll always find a solution that's like, alright, are you fucking for real? I'd rather believe it's like that it's fucking aliens than it is fucking like people Truman showing me.
He's gonna have a weird time with Maya.
Dude, imagine him looking at Maya and be like, Maya's not actually summoning ghosts. She's just a shapeshifter, I guess. That's more likely. That's what Layton would say.
She was experimented on as a young child, and now she just has gained the ability to shapeshift, and that's more realistic than her being possessed by ghosts.
She spontaneously generates mass. Those bazongas don't come out of nowhere.
I tried so hard to like dance around that sentence exactly, and here Rose is pulling out a gun.
I'm running right into the glass door like a bird.
So, yeah, the lane segment's pretty easy. We solve puzzles, we get Espella out of there, there's not much to say. Now, this court case, though. Let's talk about the Phoenix Wright court case. This court case slap.
I see, you just got all this was so the Phoenix, the Layton part was really easy. Struggled the whole way. I got to the court case, fucking slammed through that shit. I was like, I know what I'm doing.
You're a seasoned lawyer now.
I'm great at court. I kicked those people's ass. Couldn't do a simple
Lynch had
intro
no idea
puzzle.
what was coming.
So, like, the reason Phoenix Wright is here is because he was invited by the League of Attorneys, which is fucking insane to hear about. Where the fuck were they the previous 4 games? We fucking needed them.
Don't worry about it.
We needed them. We got accused like half the fucking legal system of being a murderer. Why didn't we have people to back us up? Anyway, we're here to protect Espella, who's definitely hypnotized or some shit like that, with her evil hot teacher, Mrs. Darklaw.
Darklaw.
Her name was too much. I was like, this looks cool, and then she was like, I'm like Mrs. Darklaw from Owl Academy or whatever, and I was like, fuck off.
She's from the
British
Overwatch League. She's
what?
Overwatch League. Owl.
No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
What she actually looks like to me. What she looks like to me is a Fire Emblem Awakening character.
Yeah, 100%. That's why she's hot.
That's what she actually looks like. But yes, no, she absolutely has a name that belongs in like a fantasy setting.
Yeah.
Which, wink, wink, Labyrinthia. But yeah, you can read her name both ways, of course. Dark Claw and also Dark Law. She just wants Espella to get a guilty verdict to get things over with so she can take her away again. Granted, she does that anyway, so it doesn't matter whether you got an innocent or guilty.
We didn't do anything. We
Also,
provided no value.
Darklaw's a witch. I'm calling it now. Anyway, I like how in this game we could just start calling people witches and it's like a non-zero chance.
Yeah.
We go to a court case where like apparently Espella was found with a pipe in her hand and she bonked someone on the head real hard. And then we interviewed 2 people. One character named Johnny Smiles, the inept security guard who thinks he's the best. And Olivia Al Dente, who is Sicilian. And that is her character trope.
So,
yep,
but she also, in her text, she has, like, a partly British accent that she doesn't have when she's speaking out loud. It was very weird.
So, Olivia Al Dente, I just realized, is it Olivia because it's supposed to be olives from, like, Sicily? And then al dente for pasta.
I love olives.
Yeah.
So here's the thing: is that for some reason Olivia al dente is a perfect Street Fighter character, and here's why.
I also thought she looked like a fighting game character. I was gonna bring that up.
It was because of the way she's rocking around.
Yeah,
it's because she's
her idol animation.
No,
she looks like she's on the character select screen of a fighting
game. It's not just because
of
her fighting animation. There's rules when it comes to being a Street Fighter specifically. The rule is 1, you gotta have a strange theme to it, Cook. 2, You gotta be from an obvious place in the world. She's from Sicily, Italy. And 3, hot. And she got that one in space.
As soon as we got into the segment, I was like, I'm just waiting for Tiago to go, yeah, but she a baddie, though.
Yeah,
as soon as we start talking about Olivia Al Dente.
Dude, she's a
Attempted murder.
baddie, though. She did not murder me, though. So here's the thing about Olivia Al Dente is that we get introduced to a really hackneyed, like, jewel thief concept, and somehow Phoenix Wright is able to be like, oh yeah, that motherfucker's a jewels thief. And everyone in British court goes, you can't just accuse the witness, that's insane. And Phoenix Wright is like, I've done it for half my fucking career.
Yeah, this is how we do it in America.
Watch me.
this is some cowboy lawyer shit. Check this shit out.
Yeah. Her animations are really good, though, especially like with the chopping the eel and the big, pulling out the big tuna and everything. Yeah, there's lots of really good, goofy animations for her that make the breakdown really fun.
I think that specifically is the reason why I'm like super okay with the transition to 3D is because now we can do a lot more goofy shit in the courtroom with like the prosecutors, the lawyers, the witnesses who are always goofy as hell. Like the fucking zoom in on the camera when it goes to her face and she's like fucking stressing out, and I'm like, oh, this is actually sick, actually.
Yeah. Also, then you get to also do the whole camera turn with Maya, and she actually gets to stand right next to you, lift up the pipe, do animations of swinging it, and then bonk you on the head. It's just so good. It's so good.
The case is like, oh, Espella hit me in the head with a pipe while she was stealing PC badges on the boat. This is the boat where she escaped from in the Layton segment. So chronologically speaking, this is like the next day. Johnny smiles and is like, yeah, she did it. I saw her do it. And then he goes, we didn't see it though because it was dark and you were wearing sunglasses. And he goes, yeah, so what do you mean? I'm the best security guard. I was talking about this with Iro, and Iro was like, oh yeah, I forgot how much Shu Takumi is just better at writing Phoenix cases. And I was like, damn, you're right though. Shit.
Yeah. The thing is my understanding is that Takumi was kind of a little bit more in a supervisor role here, right? Mm-hmm. So it's a little harder to like attribute individual lines to him. Whereas like in previous games, like 1 through 4 of Ace Attorney, he wrote like almost every word, right? He wrote like almost every word aside from like item descriptions, kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Whereas here, he's one of 6 people doing the writing. Now, I would not be surprised if he occasionally would come into other writers' work and like tweak it and that sort of thing. But he's definitely a little bit more of a supervisor role here. So either way, it's like it's hard to know, right? Individual contributions. Like, was he in here writing like every single line of dialogue for Phoenix and Maya? Probably not. But at the very least, he was very involved, right? And that shows here. Right, like this stuff is really fun. The beats are exactly what you want out of an Ace Attorney case, and the bits as well are very Shu Takumi, right? Where you establish, a verbal tick from a character, and then it happens again and again, and then Phoenix does it accidentally as well. Like that kind of stuff is just it's exactly what you want out of this sort of case.
I am really excited to be back in the courtroom. I miss it so much. We played a lot of we got a lot of fucking we did so much time just running around as Miles Edgeworth. And like right. I don't hate that experience, but I just need to go back to the courtroom real quick to defend people. I want to defend
we need to be back on those on those 3 screens, the left, middle, and right,
exactly.
Sliding back and forth with the camera there to look at the prosecution and defense. It feels like home,
Ben, later, can you make a gif of my hitting me with a steel pipe?
It exists.
Wow,
so it's definitely out there already, but yeah, I'll try to include that if I can.
That gif is so important to me, because she does try to kill me.
It's really good, because basically the reason that the whole pipe swinging animation comes up is because they are establishing that Espella would have hit Olivia over the head with this pipe, but the way that she's short, so she couldn't have hit her from the direction and where she hit her based off what they're saying. So it had to be somebody else, basically. She's too short, and her fingerprints are on the wrong part of the pipe, is what you're establishing. They're flipped.
Yeah.
So instead, she would have been grabbing the pipe to defend herself if somebody tried to swing and hit her.
A real turnabout, if you will.
Yeah. So as part of this, both Maya and Phoenix swing the pipe in the courtroom and like show how their hands would need to be gripping it to leave these fingerprints on it. And of course, in the in that whole scene, Maya then, yes, literally bonks Phoenix over the head. You see it first person from Phoenix's view, so it looks like Maya just tries to fucking murder you with a pipe. And it's just a delightful little bit.
It's so fucking good. It's like, the thing about it for me is that like I feel like the last couple of games haven't had that like grounded world, and then we have the insane like zaniness of Maya walking around. We don't have I gotta admit, Kate Faraday was kind of zany, but she never tried to hit me in the head with a steel pipe, and that's where she's lacking.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing that only Maya can bring to the table.
That is like, that's some shit that you can only get through that Fae power. Mia Faye would have tried to hit me with the steel pipe.
Yeah. So yeah. After the case is wrapped up, then Espella still seems to be hypnotized. Darklaw takes her away, but the book, Historia Labyrinthia, is left laying on the seat, and Maya's like, "Ooh, Nick, look at this. What's this? I'm gonna pick this up and open it up. Let's look and see what her notes were." And they both get sucked into the book as well, and that's when we fade to black. So that's kind of the two prologues. I did want to ask one other thing here, which was something we haven't talked about yet. Music. This is the first time that we've got like a fully orchestrated soundtrack. I don't believe it's a real orchestra. I still believe it's a virtual orchestra, but
you're saying Hatsune Miku did this one?
No. Unfortunately, the Queen Hatsune Miku was not involved in this one.
Oh, I miss her.
But yeah, we get to hear classic Ace Attorney 1 themes redone in orchestral, stylings. There's a little bit of harpsichord sprinkled in there too because it's London and that kind of thing. So, and a little bit of I don't know, like a accordion maybe or something like that as kind of Layton's thing a bit. So there's a little bit of everything sprinkled in there, but it's a really nice rendition, and it's kind of fun to hear these tunes redone again.
I definitely heard this soundtrack and went like, oh yeah, people are gonna plug them off when the soundtrack is get brought up in the fucking courtroom.
I loved the soundtrack. I'm also being psyoped right now by the British government setting off car alarms outside my apartment. So
yeah, you are being sent to hitmen
they're
by
stopping
Prince
me
Charles.
from making fun of them. But I love the
don't
soundtrack.
worry, it'll be fine.
It was beautiful.
I remember hearing the Layton soundtrack and remember thinking like, oh, this is pretty nice and whimsical. There's a specific track in Game 3 where in Game 3 what happens is that someone challenges you to like a puzzle off. And I hope that we get to hear that song in this game, because it was like, I heard that song and I went like, oh, fuck yeah. And like, it's this fucking like folk accordion violin shit.
Oh, I love that's my shit. That's my jam.
I will straight up send you that song later.
Yes.
So like, we got orchestral cornered theme, and I love that for us. There is a charm to having the like DS sound font cornered theme.
Oh yeah.
But I also do love the idea of orchestrated, like there's 50 people in a room playing instruments and it's about how you're fucked. Like
you don't have to ask me twice to pick between the orchestral music for Zelda or the chiptune Zelda music. It's always going to be the chiptune stuff.
Yeah.
So the Phoenix music for me is, I think I like the original music style better, but it is nice to hear it the way that it is in these games.
It feels like an event, right?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this crossover game is. It's like this event thing. Because at the time, this was kind of a big deal. Because this was when Layton was at his popularity peak, right?
Yeah.
This was during, the 3DS era had just, come out, I think, a year or two. I forget how far into the 3DS this came out. But, Layton was super popular. Ace Attorney was still pretty popular at the time. So like this was like a decently like well-regarded crossover and people were excited for it. Like I remember it being like, something that people were paying attention to. So yeah, I think that plays into it, having all this orchestral music for everything and having new renditions of all these, previous songs. So it's nice. It's nice, and it kind of adds to the prestige of the whole affair.
In the in most of the Professor Layton games, I believe all of them have a directed puzzle master named Akira Tago, and he is the guy responsible for designing like most of the puzzles.
Mm-hmm.
Why the fuck did I bring this up? I don't remember. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm glad we know
Puzzles.
about him now.
Yeah, he is a puzzle guy.
I mean,
that's why I brought up
last
Layton popularity. Yes. He passed away in 2016, and a lot of people regard like the second trilogy of Layton, even though he was made during like the later half, like I don't think Akira was doing well. This is all hearsay. I don't have any proof for it. Unlike y'all, I don't do any research. I just say shit. So like the original trilogy of Professor Layton in regards to his popularity, that's when it was like at the peak, right? Like Layton was a DS guy and level 5 studios to like, oh yeah, we some real fuckers right now. And then the 3DS saga happened, and like people disregard the prequel trilogy a lot, even though you get like a hot assistant and like you get like decent puzzles in 3D and shit. It's like I don't understand the hate for the second trilogy. It's not as good as the first, I would say, because Unknown Future had 2 games of payoff and it was tight as hell. I mean, also I'm not at the end of the 3DS trilogy, so I cannot say that like, oh yeah, those games sucked, but I'm getting close to it, and I'm just like, I'm having an alright time. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst.
Right.
So like, it's interesting that like this game series at like the peak of its popularity goes to Phoenix Wright, a game series that has not had a game in a little while, and goes, hey man, like what's up? Let's team up. And he's like, oh, real shit. And then we have a Japanifornian lawyer fighting an English puzzle master. Which I would love in a fighting game in general if Professor Layton could fist fight Phoenix Wright. Layton has never fought anybody. He one time made a gun out of arcade machines, but has never killed people.
But he never fired it?
He did fire it, but it only shot coins, so nobody was hurt.
Coins hurt if you throw them at people.
They don't die.
Have you ever seen the Professor Layton animated film, though?
No, I was gonna do a bit how we have movie every Tuesday night. I was gonna do this thing where I was gonna be like, oh yeah, we're gonna watch Scream for my birthday, and then switch it out with the Professor Layton movie at the very end. But I think I actually just want to watch Scream.
Whoa, a turnabout on movie night.
Professor Layton and the Eternal Diva. It's been a long time since I watched it. But I do recall that movie has an extended, very fancy animated fight scene between Professor Layton
Did we watch
and the
that?
villain.
I feel like I watched that.
You might have watched it with me, yeah. And it's a really elaborate like fencing sequence with really beautiful sakuga.
Yes, no, I think I know what you're talking about.
So Professor Layton does fight occasionally when it comes to it, and also when it's worth it to show off some really fancy animation.
I forgot at the end of the second game, he does literally pull out a sword and starts fencing somebody. That is true. He is a fencer, because Layton's whole thing is that he's a gentleman.
But yeah, we might have to watch the movie at some point just to get a little bit of a vibe of it. But yeah,
bonus episode.
He definitely when it's like fun for the story for him to do it, all of a sudden he can be like a really good fencer. Right?
Yeah.
I used to practice
He's like,
a bit, my boy.
He's like Indiana Jones kind of, but British.
No, he's better. He's better than him.
He's well traveled, right? And he's one of those guys who could say like, oh yes, like I took a bit of fencing, back in my youth. I spent 2 years practicing, under somebody, and like he's like the sickest fencer in the world, and you're like,
2 years is a long time, Layton.
I actually do really like Professor Layton a lot. I became a fan of his series through this project, and I gotta say that like I do think Professor Layton's cool. I saw some like emo Layton art the other day, and it was not like emo where like he was dressed up like a fucking Hot Topic, but it was like him looking sadly at something, and I was just like, oh, Layton, my guy. It's all good. So like, needless to say, I'm so happy to see my man Phoenix Wright back. I miss him so much. Miles Edgeworth is fun, but he's fun because like I'm never supposed to be him. I'm supposed to be my own man. And
I mean, I did one of my favorite segments in all of Ace Attorney is when you play as Miles for half of the case at the end of game 3.
Yep.
Here's my feeling about that.
But that works because it's a shock, it's a surprise. I got hit in the head with a brick, and the brick was Miles Edgeworth. It was great.
Miles Edgeworth is dessert you're supposed to have once in a while. I felt like having too many games with him made it like too sweet. You know what I mean?
It was 2 games.
That's too many.
They were pretty long. Also, I'm still being psyoped,
Okay,
by
yeah,
the way.
they were long.
Yeah,
But also, yes,
Sorry,
this
everyone.
is also a big change. This is also a big change, like gameplay wise, right? So this is going to feel more fresh just as a result.
Yeah.
After we've played 2 investigation games back to back,
Which just felt like one game, to be honest.
so
It did.
yeah. I think. Did anybody else have any last thoughts before we wrap up here? Then for these 2 prologues.
No, I'm just really excited to see what they introduced with the Layton side, because like now that I'm
killed the queen.
I don't think you ever see. No, there's no queen. I don't recall there ever being a queen in a Layton game. You do get to accuse the governor or some shit.
That's fun.
There's like Layton themes always include like rich, powerful people being corrupt and trying to do their own thing. Also, so here, I keep like trying to like introduce concepts in Layton games that like I'm always like, oh wait, no, maybe they'll actually pull that up for the game, and that'd be kind of cool. Because like these are the characters, and if they show up, I can go on and explain why the fuck they're here. But I think that's fun. I think Inspector Chalmy is really annoying. I don't like the Inspector in Layton games. I think he's a piece of shit, and
He's no gumshoe.
he's no Gumshoe, and especially he's no Grosky, which is from the prequel trilogy. In the prequel trilogy, you don't see Chalmy, you see a different Inspector, where his whole thing is that like he's ripped as hell, and he never takes the car anywhere. He runs everywhere. He ran.
That's a funny gimmick.
He's like, and specifically, whenever he leaves, he goes, Grosky out, and then he just sprints off the screen.
I like that. Where's that guy?
I'm telling you, he has like a pompadour, and he has the world's hairiest chest.
All right.
There's a
I'm
whole
sold.
there's a whole other world just hidden just beneath Layton's top hat, and if you wish to tip it over, you might find a whole
Jesus
batch
Christ,
of
this
characters.
character design.
Unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of puzzles preventing me
Grosky's
from...
got huge boobs.
Grosky,
Oh, boy.
Alright, now we gotta post Grosky in the fucking chat, because
All right.
otherwise, like,
Hey, everybody at home, just like Google him, I guess.
Google Inspector Clamp Grosky.
Clamp
Ben
Grosky?
Clamp Grosky.
Clamp.
Like clamp?
Like clamp.
Like clamp.
Well, yeah, that's a Muppet.
So he's a Muppet! He literally, like, moves and talks like a... Like, the thing about Inspector Layton that I think is...
He's got listeners, he's got little tiny legs and little tiny arms.
It's funny. Our next movie for our like friend group movie night is going to be Triplets of Belleville,
Hell
and that's
yeah,
just like
it is.
absolutely the same. That's absolutely the same ballpark as like what Layton's operating in. You know,
Yeah.
it's like that same
Homework
French
for
animation
everyone.
style.
Go watch some weird French animation. Check out Triplets of
Oh my
Belleville.
God.
Great movie.
I have to hold on. I have a picture for Tiago that you get.
Oh my god.
I have to.
Holy
I will
shit.
have
We're
to do my
devolving.
best to
We're
put this in
devolving.
the notes. Yeah, we got to wrap this up because people are not going to be able to see this on the podcast.
Post it in
so
Post in the fucking...
I'll put it
Put
in the
it-
notes. I'll
Put
put it
it
in the
on
notes.
the podcast picture.
No.
Yes.
See.
No.
I'll put it in the notes so that people can
The
click on
Virgin
it
Chalmy
and see it
versus
then.
the Chad Inspector Grosky of the Yard.
Oh my goodness.
Straight up, this is true, Des.
Oh, thanks for bearing with
All
us,
right.
everybody.
This train is wildly derailing.
I got psyoped by the British
It's not
Crown.
derailing. It's just
No,
jumping
it's-
from one track to another. There's 2 tracks in this one.
Multi-track drifting.
Layton and Phoenix Wright.
I hope
I hope
we
they
see
fight.
I actually do think it'd be really cool if Maya hit Professor Layton with the steel pipe.
I think Maya could kill both of them.
Luke Triton's got special abilities, though, that has not been introduced yet. I'm wondering if the game will.
Well, I guess
Special.
we'll have to find out then.
I'm curious.
So
If it
Don't
doesn't
tell
get brought
me.
up,
That will
I
do
will
it.
bring it up at the end.
Okay.
yeah, that will do it for us this week then, folks. I have a review from our iTunes page.
Oh, shit.
This review is written by sunglasses emoji, tongue out emoji, raised eyebrow emoji, raised eyebrow emoji.
What the fuck?
And they wrote, amazing. This is the greatest podcast of all time. Well, actually, not really. This is the greatest podcast about Ace Attorney that has someone Ben in it of all time. Well, okay. Bit of an odd compliment, but thank you.
Okay.
That's more accurate. Jokes aside, this is good for Ace Attorney fans to get a refresher on what has happened in the older games, as well as getting a new perspective on the game from newcomers. 5 stars.
Thanks.
Smattering of emojis.
Wait.
Incomprehensible. Thank you. Love you.
You said that whole fucking username, and I legit sat here and went, am I hallucinating?
Yep.
Um,
You are not.
True.
Yeah. So you can follow the show on Twitter at Ace Attorney Pod. You can follow us on co-host at Ace Attorney or our website, updatedautopsy.report, to stay up to date on our latest episodes, as well as the YouTube uploads of Dessy and I playing through the game.
And
You can
Ira.
follow me on all social media at Yotzeben. Dessy, where can people find you?
Yes, this is Des on Twitter.
And Tiago.
You can find me at Tiago S. Dutra on Twitter and other various social media websites.
And Rose.
You can find me at Rose Nonsense on co-host and Tumblr, and you can also go scream in the woods and I'll hear you. Or park your car outside my apartment building and leave your alarm going for several hours
promise?
on and off throughout the day.
I think you're allowed to break in.
I think we should.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, nobody likes it. It's waking us up. It's scaring the dog. It's now I know why. It's because I was going to talk a lot of smack about Britain and the monarchy.
and they were just trying to keep you down.
About the British.
I'm being punished.
Thank you so much for listening. We hope that you will rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast platform. Next episode, we will be playing chapters 1 and 2 of Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.